Okay, I'm truly delighted to introduce our final speaker of the afternoon, of the day, Connie Missimer. Connie is a senior manager for device UX and design at AT&T, where she spends her time playing with cell phones and tablets before they're released, with a view to creating compelling mobile experiences for today, as well as experiences for the future, like in the year 2020, which in technological years is a long way away. It's a lifetime. She holds a bunch of patents, is a previous World Usability Day speaker, in addition to being a TEDx speaker this year. Wow. Connie is a successful author. Her book, Arguments, An Introduction to Critical Thinking, is in its 4th edition. And Connie will be talking today about how we should rely on theories to drive innovation in an empirically grounded workplace. I've known Connie for many years and consider her to be a friend. She's super smart, super funny, and just a really nice person. So please give an extra warm welcome to Connie Missimer.
Thank you, Stephen. Oh, thank you very much. Well, you folks are the hardcore. Thank you for hanging in for all of those talks. And now it's my job to try to be funny and entertaining and just for that last thing, and then we can go have something to eat and drink. So I'm dying to get into the details of all of this, but I'd first like to break for one of our sponsors, and that is this. And you're going, Connie, that looks for all the world like a lightsaber, and I know Star Wars is coming up soon. But I'm using this as a metaphor, we're still in neurobiology land here, to describe the mind at the moment of attention, in the moment actually of flow, but in the moment of attention to anything, even fleetingly. It's laser thin. And I think intuitively we often think of the mind as broad spaces. I can think of anything, and that is in fact true. But moment by moment, it is a very narrow band that we have to work with. David Rock's book, Your Brain at Work, is just an awesome resource to think about this. So we can think about several things. We can think about human-made things, or we can think about nature. On the left is an incredible view. I guess you could see this galaxy from the Atacama Desert in Chile. And on the right, a beloved human-made thing. So if you look at the beloved human-made thing for a moment and notice its suppleness and look at the red on it and imagine a teeny car maybe driving on top. Okay, anybody here still thinking of the galaxy? No. Okay. So I'm trying to make my case about the mind as a very narrow band of awareness. Or maybe we're thinking about the break, but one thing at a time. But multitasking has been shown really not to work, or if people really attempt it, it really degrades very quickly. So that's key. If you don't remember anything else, remember from my talk, my brain is a laser, my brain is a laser, okay? So let's continue. So with such a fragile thing as our brain, how did humans get so powerful? What has made us powerful? So let's start with the human-made things, and I'm going to theorize with you that every human-made thing is a theory of what is beautiful, useful, and or fun. That's my theory. I'm sticking with it. Okay. So let's take a human-made thing. Let's go to the sewer here for a little bit. Here's a human-made thing. Now, how can you make a theory out of the sewer? Well, I've got a little drawing for you. It's based on the idea of a theory as something visual. So if you imagine the roof as your conclusion, it's a good manhole cover. The reasons supporting it are it's easy to use, it's sturdy. And then what are the assumptions? And the assumptions are, it's the cool part of the theory. And that's where innovation is going to happen. I'll show you. But the assumption here, and you could have many assumptions about this, but one would be it will rain. It's good manhole cover. Okay, here's another manhole cover. So I've skipped one. So the theory of this manhole cover is really different. Good cover, useful and sturdy, but look what happened. Pleasing came in. That's a gorgeous manhole cover in my opinion. Okay, it's a Japanese manhole cover, and that's Mount Fuji. So you've got something new, you've got something different, if you will, innovative about this particular one vis-a-vis the other one. Still going to rain, you still need the manhole cover. So now, when you go back to the original object, human object, you've got the good cover, won't rust, sturdy, it will rain, and now look what happened. A whole bunch of stuff happened in your assumptions. Now you're looking at this and go, oh gosh, well, that assumes people don't need to notice this. How many times you pass one of these things and never think about it? And also in this one, you can uncover the assumption that really design doesn't matter that much. At least that's the inference that I would make from this particular cover, which is everywhere. So they may want it with a beautiful design. But that would be an innovation on a manhole cover. So it's anything. So, okay, you may say, Connie, okay, I got it on the manhole cover, it's got it on the little theory thing, but what does this buy us? Well, I think it buys us a tremendous amount. One is a way to view innovative thinking as a common tool with this simple structure. Everyone theorizes. That was a good Seahawks game, that was a great dinner, or it was a lousy dinner, terrible game, whatever. People are constantly theorizing. So catching on to the idea of how people are theorizing when they're arguing and hypothesizing means that people have a key, they've got a tool for innovating. And then knowing that all the great business is going on in the assumptions down beneath the surface, that's where it's all sort of happening. So there's something else that you buy here, which is that theories drive the growth of knowledge across all fields. So it's a uniter to industry and academia across everything. Humans making new things and having implicit or explicit theories, and also humans making sense of the natural world. So in both of those cases, theories are absolutely central to everything. Comparison of theories, for instance, manholes or dinners or anything else, weighing those by large numbers of people drives the growth of knowledge and drives innovation. So innovation's constant. So here's some stuff. I don't know how much you guys are aware of this, but very, very often innovative ideas are really ugly at first. They're unreasonable. They seem stupid. It's like, why? What? That's unreasonable. It's terrible. So people who will want innovations with a big chance of success right off the bat, just innovate, but we want it to be successful. They don't understand the history of innovation if you really look back in time. So there's also personal risk in promoting a crazy new idea. So I want to talk about that in a little bit. And most new ideas do end up failing. So the time frame goes from small numbers of people, then with time and with evidence, you have more and more people coming to accept this crazy sounding thing at first. So I'll just give you a quickie on these, but this is kind of blast from the past. But Newton's theory of motion, he himself called it absurd. It's foundational physics, right? Darwin's theory of evolution, a lot of people were not just religious objections, but the foremost geologist of the time just said it just didn't work. And Luis and Walter Alvarez were shunned at a conference after they hypothesized on the dinosaurs being extinguished by meteors. Everybody just thought that was totally crazy. All of these, of course, have worked out. And then the real howler, John Stuart Mill in the mid-19th century, that women were the intellectual equals of men. So he got in trouble for that, lost his seat in Parliament. So TB and ulcers caused by bacteria, seat belts preventing auto deaths. People thought that if you were thrown out of your car, it might be safer than being crushed by your car. The people just, it took evidence, it took time and argument. and so forth. So all of these things are things that sound sort of very odd at first, but through time, that's how knowledge grows with increasing evidence. So ridiculous products at first, all of these things were seen to be very far out there, and why would I do it? That's kind of the way people oftentimes look at something that is new and different. So what does this mean for innovating at work? So I'm going to give you my best Balmer, okay? At a company meeting in the mid-2000s, it was he said, innovate, 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 grow, grow, grow. How'd I do? Oh, thank you. All right. So that was so exciting. I remember leaving that company meeting just on air. It was fabulous. We're going to go back, we're going to do all this stuff. And whoops, now for a little break from our brain. Okay, remember, this is the whole thing to remember about this talk. Go back to work. Our brains are involved and enmeshed so much of the time with all sorts of processes. There, you report, you respond, you meet people, you approve of stuff, and then you have to be visible. There's a lot of visible stuff. So that is pinning down our laser minds. It's keeping us from being able to step back and do that fun with assumption thing that I was showing you. You can't sort of you can't think about the worth of what you're doing if you're deeply enmeshed in doing the thing in itself. That's a separate mental process. So we need that time. We need time to be able to innovate and theorize at work about what is necessary and what is not necessary. So that is an important thing. Now, okay, so everybody's a Gulliver, or let's just switch the metaphor. We've all got these lightsaber brains, and everybody's busy doing their processes, sort of thing. So they're all around doing that. We can miss what's hiding in plain sight. And if you want to read another great book, you should read The Invisible Gorilla by these social psychologists. I see some people nodding, where they have these people playing basketball and dribbling the ball. It's so great. It's this amazing. And they had people concentrate on the ball. Just count the number of dribbles. And they had a guy in a gorilla suit walk through while this was going on. 50% of the people who were observing this did not see the gorilla. And furthermore, were adamant in saying there had never been a gorilla. This is the power of the laser, the power of your brain to really concentrate in a certain way and then miss other things. And so, I loved Ashby's talk and how flow is incredibly important. The trick is sort of modulating your flow, right? I mean, flow is fabulous, but you have to sort of use your brain to flow in directions that are really going to be helpful, that will help the company make money or save money and make you a happier person. So, how not to raise a gorilla. So I'm going to get a little political with you guys here. So I learned this one at Microsoft. A hippo, that's the highest paid person's opinion. So you say, I got a gorilla. I found me a gorilla. And the person says, nah, it doesn't sound reasonable. No. So you've got that mentality. I call that the intuitive fallacy. Remember, I showed you all those slides with all that unreasonable sounding stuff that ended up being great. So that is a blocker that is keeping a lot of us from being able to innovate because of that sort of hippo and intuitive fallacy. The alternative would be, well, that sounds weird. That's really weird, but let's do some pilot tests on it. So and we'll talk about this maybe in the group afterwards, but there is innovation, I would argue, is in tension a lot of times with a political structure. Political structure is a certain way. So the common situation too, and this gets into that, is the assumption that we often have the people at the top are just brilliant, or there's an enclave someplace of other brilliant people doing the research. And then there are the rest of us who are sort of given the tasks, given the studies. We're going to do this product. Now you go ahead and do the work on this. So what happens is you have that attitude, and there's status maps also that sort of make this more intuitive to us in a very odd way, where they have higher status, so they must know more. So there's lots of assumptions that are built into that. So what I'm advocating for is to change to a mindset of expect innovation in totally unexpected places. And this conforms to the historical record. There are points in time when Einstein was in the patent office, and probably nobody said, I bet that guy is going to just rock physics in the 20th century. Not when he was sitting there in the patent office. Same thing with Darwin, who briefly was made to study theology. If you took a snapshot of him, you wouldn't have predicted the power of the theory that he came up with. And the Wright brothers were bicycle repairmen, so that too. And they got the airplane off the ground. So I would argue that based on this historical evidence, you can't really predict who will successfully innovate if they're given a chance. And we've got blinders on, I think, a lot about that. So I like the situation on the right, chance of innovation, chance of doing something new and moving forward much greater. So what if the powers that be said, Connie, let's do this, let's just go ahead, let's let the laser mind free, let's go ahead, we attack the flak. So the idea might be that you keep the business as usual, keep everybody doing whatever they were doing, and then you do usability, essentially, on what people are doing to try to reduce what is unnecessary. So you do the A/B tests, and you guys are also great at this. I mean, we could all do this, but it just is a matter of thinking about it, turning the laser brain onto processes to free them up so that we can do more innovation. And then to do it internally through pilot studies, but also the social sciences are just loaded with evidence about motivation. If you read Daniel Pink's book, Drive, it's an incredible book about autonomy and the ability of people to be happier and work tons harder and so forth. And sociometric techniques are also another kind of method. So, okay, but, and this is fuzzy, I'm sorry. Just say it's impressionistic or something. But this is the ocean of emotion that all of us feel. We all live through this ocean of emotion, and Tammy was great about showing with EMG what people, who are our customers are feeling, but we too have oceans of emotion. So here's what happens though. If I come and say, pardon me, excuse me, I just want you guys to know that there's a lot of my work that it's not helping the company. I looked at this and processes are unnecessary, stuff like that. How long do you think I'd last? Think they'd sort of walk me to the door, have me surrender my badge and read me my COBRA rights? Yeah, I think they would. So if people are afraid that they would be admitting or finding these things, it's not going to happen. So, and also, if you stick your neck out, if it's really innovative, it still could be right or wrong, but you'll look stupid. So people don't want to look stupid. So it's huge risk to get out there. And then if it's not in your performance plan, what's the upside? It'd be so great to do it, but especially if you've got the hippo and the whole thing, it's not going to work. So I do want to say that, and I don't think this is well understood, that fear of layoffs really damps innovation. So I read this recently in the New York Times that Twitter needed to downsize and now needs to concentrate on innovation. If you really think that through, it does not make sense. It does not make sense. Okay, so summary. So here's a summary. Attention is powerful, but narrow and fragile. Innovation can come through a special type of attention that I mentioned with that sort of theory, house theories, and then having fun with assumptions and try to fool around with that, because all the great innovators let go of some very profoundly basic assumptions about how products should work or how the world should work. Innovation's often ugly and ridiculous seeming. Companies want innovation, but politics often can step in and kind of trump that empirical itch that we all have. So employees need to be provided with, just like a murder, the means, the motive, and the opportunity to innovate without fear. And we could use usability to achieve this, and we would have endless work till the end of time. Okay, thank you very much.